Good morning and welcome to TalkSports. This is our weekend program where we speak with the movers and shakers of sports, the sportsmen, sportswomen, sports administrators, just about everyone involved in sports. And on this weekend's program, as indicated, we'll be speaking about the in sports incentive package or scheme, or whatever you want to call it, that was announced. We have been talking about that for quite a while, right? So it's no real secret for those who probably not in the know, it's probably secret for those who, yeah. But the Ministry of Sports spearheading that effort to ensure that our sportsmen and sportswomen are incentivized. And we'll be discussing that and the range of packages and what are the intentions and what are the benefits of providing incentives for our sportsmen and sportswomen. And we'll also understand that it's not just our sportsmen and sportswomen or even our administrators and coaches and, the whole works as part of the national sports policy. And joining me this weekend to speak about that is the coordinator of sports, no stranger to the program, Mr. Kerlon Peters, and Mr. Peters is the sports coordinator as indicated, and he has been intimately involved in the arrangements and all these sort of things. But first of all, we'll talk a bit about the welcome home ceremony for our Olympians that took place last weekend. And, last weekend also, these guys were busy because they were doing the welcome at the Morris Bishop International Airport, which was followed the following day by the motorcade. Let me say good morning to Kerlon Peters. Good morning, Kerlon.
Hey, good morning, Mr. Bascom. Good morning to all your viewers and listeners. Very happy to be here with you this Saturday morning. Outside is, by my side, is a little overcast, but it's
yeah, that's why you look at it, because you're looking a bit dark,
Yeah. Trying to get some more light.
Some more light. Yeah, but certainly last weekend, Kerlon, and by the way, folks, these folks had just a few days to put this together because remember, Monday and Tuesday was holidays, right? In Grenada. That's Carnival Monday and Tuesday. And therefore, it's not until Wednesday you basically got together and start planning for that welcome home ceremony and everything, putting everything in place, as a matter of fact, to bring home those Olympians and have the celebrations, everything like that. So let's talk about the whole coming together, working along the Ministry of Sports with the 50th anniversary, the Independence Committee, and all these stakeholders to put this together, Kerlon.
Well, I must say it was at the end you sit back and we were able to feel very comfortable of what happened and the event. When we look at the Lyndon feast and Kirani feast, all the Olympian feasts, at the ceremony, it was work well done. We must say that we started when I got the call meeting 8:30 on Wednesday morning after Carnival Tuesday. It was something that it was very important, and I must say hats off to the Prime Minister's office and other persons that had made all the arrangement for the athletes to make sure that you get them here. Because it took a lot, because they had scheduled events for the next week, as we see Anderson Peters were competing 2 days ago in Lausanne, Switzerland. And we met with the Independence Committee, Ms. Gil Pussell, together with other stakeholders, our Minister, Honorable Delma Thomas, our PS, Ms. Sylvester, other stakeholders. So we met and to put the activity together. Ms. Gil Pussell chaired the committee, and we worked together with sports to make sure that everything was put in place. So it was busy. It was, but we have, seen the importance of making sure that we show appreciation for our athletes, for Olympian, all Olympian, the whole management team, the physiotherapists, the manager, other persons from the Grenada Olympic Committee that went to the Olympics to support the team. We also had discussion with the Island Regis, the athletes commissioner, athletes representative. So it was tough, but we were able to see the interest, making sure that the athletes feel appreciated. We also to make sure that the parents, the school, the stakeholders, all of Grenada get a part, the opportunity to share in that level of appreciation. So when you look on the airport and we see that the persons came out in the colors and the national flag to show the athletes, and it was just joy. It was just joy to see the athletes, to see from all the ministers of government together with the Governor General and the Prime Minister and the red carpet, awaiting the arrival of our Olympians. It bring a coolness to my heart. You know, it was happy moment. It was just a joy, just showing the appreciation and showing what we can achieve through sports as a nation. You know, so it's we also recognize Dr. Stevens John. She was the one. She worked as a doctor in the Olympics as a or in the ringside doctor as a
Yeah.
Grenadian. That was a massive achievement. So we work hard as must take we are thankful for the support of the Miss Gil Posser. She worked really hard. I went on a couple of promotional aspect very quick to make sure that the nation know what was happening and they come out to support the athletes, and the athletes was well achieved.
Prior to that, Colin, what involvement the ministry had in terms of supporting the Olympic team, in terms of going to the games itself?
Well, we had budgeted over $250,000 for the Olympic team. Give them in different fees, one for the preparation and training prior to, and the last disbursement was for the camp. So individual athletes have other stakeholders and other sponsors that support. But it's been a long-term process where the government of Grenada have been supporting the athlete through going to competition, through games, with equipment and other, physiotherapists and other aspects. So the government been working. We don't, at least people, don't hear we boast about but it's a continuous process. And looking at the success of the athletes and the whole team that represent us here in Grenada, we are pleased to say that it was a investment well made.
Right. So the athletes came in. Well, let's say the Olympians, because we had the track and field and the swimmers. And by the way, there was a concern, but I think I understood after they were seeing some and not others. But as you indicated, that one of the swimmers, for example, had to depart on the flight.
Yeah, Gosham. Yeah, so we had Tilly here. We had Gosham here. They was in the VIP holding room because they was on the island. We also had Hazard here already. So they all was part of the ceremony. They was in and they didn't come in on the American Airlines flight.
Right.
So they well met inside. They always recognized, working all the athletes that participated together with Dr. John and the support staff. So they was there. They felt fully appreciated. Gosham had us go on the same flight that was leaving. So we had a small ceremony prior to before he was allowed to board the plane. So it's a start. It's a start in a good direction. As a coach and somebody have been there from the start of the process. Because we look at the Olympians and we say Lyndon and Kirani and Anderson and the swimmers, and I've been there with them with that process for the last 20 years. So I know the process it takes to reach that day. A matter of fact, Linda was my IWF level 5 coach, elite coach certification athlete for the year program. So I'd work with him with that. And that I was the PE teacher. So I know the process I want to take over the period with the transition. And what I must say now, is that the start has already been achieved, and we have many athletes now that have that great beginning. And I think that once we continue with the support, both with the Athletics Association, the government agreed through a policy guideline, I think that we'll achieve a lot more in the future in Olympics. I know we're going to discuss that a little later on. But with the ceremony, I was so glad when we to be, I sat and look at the events and see how much they look at Lyndon and the amount he put in, and Anderson and all the athletes, the swimmers, Silly and Gosham, and the amount they have put in to represent us and to hear the story, the individual story, because they call me anytime something not going right, they call. So it's a really a great achievement for us as an island.
And for those who have been following or didn't follow closely, Colin, do you have a breakdown of what actually the Olympians received as announced during that ceremony?
Well, to be honest with you, I was trying to get the full cabinet conclusion from PS this morning. Matter of fact, she sent it. Right. So it was an advisory and adaptation and adjustment from the National Sports Council.
Right.
So,
So,
so the
so, so
cabinet
stop. Hold on, Colin. So that is the clarity I need for there. So it
yeah.
was
Okay,
proposed
so let me just
something
take
that
it over.
was sent
So it was a
to
cabinet amendment from the National Sports
sports
Policy
council.
to
Right.
reflect the following payments to the Olympian. So a gold medal winner will receive a 150,000 US dollars. A silver medal winner will receive 125,000 US dollars. The bronze will receive what they have received 100,000 US dollars. The final, the finalists, but not medaling, will receive 50,000 US dollars. So in the case of Kiwani, he has a special arrangement basically for Kiwani, but he was a finalist, but he didn't receive a medal, so he received an extra $50,000. Um, so you go down basketball, I'll send it for you later on, and you will look at it. So it was a reflection and adaptation from the sports policy, um, sports policy. So it's basically a cabinet amendment. So
Right.
so my thing basically when I look at it, for the way going forward, we'll know that if you win a gold medal at Olympics, you receive 150,000 US dollars.
But hold
That's
on,
important.
Colin. But you say it was adaptation and amendment because the sports policy probably proposed or submitted something, and government added whatever they found, necessary to add.
Right,
That's my
right.
interpretation. Right.
Right. So yeah. So we have been wrong and been speaking to stakeholders, the Olympic Committee, all the association, and we had
Mm.
made recommendation on an incentive program,
Right.
on incentive for athletes, and that um, document was submitted to cabinet, and this is as I said, it was an amendment to what was submitted, through consultation with stakeholders, with the various stakeholders.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
So,
it's yes, yeah.
yeah, but what it on the day, Colin, apart from the Olympians, what sort of incentives were given to, well, other than the Olympians? Because as you look at it, it would have been Anderson, um, Lyndon, and Kirani, because Kirani was a finalist, and Anderson and Lyndon were medalists, right?
Okay.
So what's about the other Olympians?
Right. So you have payments of 5,000 US dollars to each participant or athletes for that, like for the swimmers. So that is in
Right.
the document too. Once you make the Olympic team and you represent us in Olympic, there are money to be received.
Okay.
So even if you just so they have, so you start at $5,000. It's a full document, and I told you first time I actually seen the document right now.
Yeah, well,
In
I could
detail.
understand it
Yeah,
because you were awaiting it and then you received it, so you just
yeah.
browsing through it. I appreciate it.
Right.
Yeah.
So there are other thing. There are concessions for for vehicles, 100% concession for vehicles. There are there are waiver on all tax on the purchases of land and house materials. So it's a document. There are diplomatic award, insurance, other stuff. So it's a
Mhm.
document that could is once I get permission that you could
Right. Yeah.
distribute. Yeah.
Yeah. Get the permission.
Yeah.
So that was the Olympians, Colin.
That was the
No,
Olympia. Yeah.
right. We have Paralympics.
Yep. Yeah.
So for example, if one of our para athletes strikes gold or silver, a medal, what in it for them? Because they're Olympians themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I cannot say if that goes to I know what you're saying basically what you're asking if
Yeah.
that award is same for the para athletes. I
Yeah.
cannot say yes or no.
Okay. Okay.
I
All right.
cannot say that way. I
So we need
cannot
to
say
get clarity on that
on the
aspect of it in terms of that.
on the
I am also aware, Colin, that through the consultations and all these sort of things, the whole incentives had to do with various championships like the Olympics, the Commonwealth Games, World Championships, Character Games,
yeah.
other
Oh,
championships, because not
yeah,
just track and field,
yeah,
right?
you have football, you
Um,
have yeah, and
yeah.
everything. So we have
Will
to
that document be made available at some point in time concerning across the board incentive package, the incentive scheme for our participants at that level?
I think basically we put some great emphasis on the one because you had Olympics coming up
Right.
the both level. I think I cannot say from where I'm sitting that the full submission have been made for the other sports at that level. But I know the discussion
The
have been
discussion.
held,
Right.
and I must say that the recommendation that came from our consultation with the advisory, this is that amendment and adjustment was much more than we have submitted.
Okay, so government put a little
Yeah,
ice
government
cream on top
definitely.
of they put a little ice cream on top of whatever
They
was
put a lot,
submitted.
it was submitted, yes. So the government at least
Well,
it shows that the government care and they're looking forward to what
well,
to
I
the
said
application.
ice cream, but let me say a little, some more sugar
You
and
must put
sweet.
an ice cream.
Yeah. Um, a point has been made there. Well, a
Mm.
concern has been raised previously. Heard about it, and I'm seeing there. Let's say good morning to Mr. Michael Sherman, your good friend Mike Sherman.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, Mike. He says while all the stakeholders are giving these athletes their flowers, which is very very tremendous. Um, what we continue or we continue to build on the progress of these athletes by putting in place future athletes in the development, that is primary school, club structure, proper coaching structure for
Yeah.
these future Olympians. Let's talk about how we ensure that
We
that sort of,
continue.
well, yeah, we continue. We see that the incentives is really trying to encourage our, especially our pro athletes in that
Yeah.
respect. But how can we ensure that at even that can even have a significant impact at even the grassroots level? By providing the incentives, it means that it may, uh, you know, show a little more interest from
Mm.
the youngsters, right? Because if they're seeing that the Anderson and the Kirani and others can get, they're hoping that they can reach at that stage. They may
Oh,
not be the Kirani James, right? But they're hoping at least to
yeah.
be at some level. How
Well,
do
look,
you?
look, I'll approach it like that. Even some of the coaches call, and and they were very appreciative of the record of Paul Philip, because
Okay.
I will say, I can remember once when I was actively in coaching, administrator made the comment that some of us think that we coaching, but the athletes are the potential. But without the coaches, they are no athletes. Basically,
Mm,
they cannot coach themselves. If you want to reach that level, somebody must be there at that educational level to take
yeah,
you up.
yeah,
Because we had to come from different stages. But my thing is it must be a sustainable plan. And what we have been doing without a policy in place is just doing it by by. So I put a lot of we put a lot of emphasis, and the government put a lot of emphasis in the policy, the implementation of the policy for physical education and sports. And this is what we're working on with Parish Sports Council and making sure. One of our mandate is to make sure that we develop grassroots programs. Put a lot of interest in the grassroots developmental program. Our primary school program needs support. We have tried a couple of years ago, and we assigned persons in all primary schools. Some are still missing. We still have schools that does not have a physical education teacher slash a coach. We have done some of the training that are required to help them to reach that level. Um, there is it could be improved more because we have persons that I must say that come from TAMCC and have done the physical education associate degree and still not employed. So we could start at let's start right, and let's start that at the primary school and get that support. And for the grassroots program, we must find ways of putting some monies into the grassroots program. But how we can do it in a sustainable way, and I believe as someone from Grenville and I live in town, I believe that the same program we have and support in St. George, we should support that same program in Carriacou and in St. Andrews and in St. Patrick. I believe for we to achieve that, I put my trust in this policy, the sports policy, and the sports council. Because to the determination of funds for the development of that grassroots program, which will be the full responsibility of the parish sports council, which will have a full office, which will have full staffing. All aspect of Grenada, every community will have that same benefit to develop the program. Because there are program going on now, and we support it. But I want to see the program happening the same way with the same funding in St. Patrick, Carriacou, St. George, St. Andrews. So basically, we are looking at what is happening and trying to see how much we can give support, even through equipment, even through financial assistance, even through assistance to the limited staff that we have, But I'm saying, the document is saying, or the policy is saying, let's get a policy implemented. Let's get the council running in his parish, and let's give them the financial resources that are required for the development of the sports. And we're talking about not only grassroots program, all programs.
Mhm.
All program. I've been in ministry sports for over 20, 23, 24 years. And we have tried program. I've tried elite program with GFA. And then the same coach you're coaching become the technical director, then become the coach, and the program flap because they can't attend to the elite, to the persons on a daily basis. So they start coming. We want to make sure that when we do program, we do a sustainable program and we look at it in full details. So we map all the way forward. So what we are trying to do now with all the benefits, I'm working with other stakeholders. We are taking advice. I call Hisland maybe 25 times for the last between that time because she have a lot of ideas. And I want us to map out our way forward in collaboration with the sports council and the parish sports council. I think that's the way, that is what we have to implement. So we have a sustainable development, so we know that we come from the grassroots, we identify the talent, we give the talent support, we go to our elite program where we have coaches and staff assigned to them, and we move on to the international competition.
All right. So, folks, just let me update you. So, my co-host is actually on the road today. He's driving to Niagara Falls. Well, the church his church has an activity, and he's hoping to join us, hopefully. But he's actually on the road, so I had to say that at the start. That's Ruden Sylvan. So, if you're listening, Ruden, please keep your eyes on the road. Lots of traffic today. Also, just to let you know by way of information, folks, there's a tri-series going on. Well, should I say a tri-series? Well, a series between Windward Islands and Trinidad and Tobago under 13, because you're talking about grassroots, Kerlon.
Yes.
And I know the ministry is involved at some
Yes,
area.
yes.
So it's
Yeah,
good to see that even at that
yeah.
level,
There's a grassroots program going on.
we see in the grassroots
That mean
under
yeah,
13 cricket, yeah,
under 13.
between
So that
Windward
means
Islands and Trinidad.
we have
Yeah.
been doing something in the primary schools, their individual clubs and outreach program committee that have been working with the program, we work with the under 13. So we are doing something, we are doing it right. We just have to maybe structure what we are doing in a more sustainable way and make sure that we give everybody the opportunity. So for cricket, what we had just prior to the school break, we had the primary school cricket competition. And this final will be in September, but we were able to conclude this term. So it's a lot of things happening, and I must say, we have Mr. Troy George is in the ministry. He's the junior coach for cricket.
Coaches, right,
Yeah, and we intend to, we have intended to get a couple more staff to help boost this whole process. So it's all sports, and we want to make sure that sustainability and that program is achieved by all. Yeah.
yeah. And by the way, folks, the under 13 cricket is like a friendly. Okay,
Yeah.
it's not so much competition per se, but
Yeah.
it's all part of the development program of
Yeah.
cricket at that age. Probably 10, 15 years ago, we may not have had an under 13
Yeah.
tournament. Windward Islands versus or Grenada versus
Yeah.
Trinidad or Windward Islands, but that
So we
is
have
part
to
of the
start.
development
We
program.
have to start. It is in track and field. They go on from there. You have to be in all sport. If
Sports,
you
yeah.
want a sport, yeah. If you want it to grow, you have to start at a much younger age with the competition.
Yeah.
What the challenges that we are having as the organizer of competitions is that we see an expansion in our competition at our schools.
Mhm.
We see instead of before having 18 schools and we're having a football tournament with 15 schools, now we're having all 22 schools want to play football. When it comes to all the sports, you have an expansion. So we and look at it. So right now we have a growth in the sport. So we are thinking about how can we collaborate so that we can meet that demand for competition. We have seen the problem and the write up on basketball last year because we were unable to execute the secondary school basketball competition. We have seen it in netball, in volleyball. What is happening is that if you look at the school, it's Monday to Friday. If you go to run a competition with 22 schools in football, there is definitely you will not be able to do it in 2 terms, in 2 months. What we are trying to do, and we are met with stakeholders, because we're talking about growth of sport, but we have to make some structural change in them. We're looking to get an expansion of the competition to on Saturday and Sunday. We are not asking that all schools play on Saturday and Sunday.
Mhm.
We are looking to get some, maybe if it's 10 out of the 22 schools, to say, okay, yes, we can play some games on Saturday. That will, one, help reduce the time of the competition. It will help reduce the time the student lose from contact classes, which is school is education. Mr. Ashby tell me that every day because they know I wanted to coach every day. And it also helps with the sponsors and the parents to come out of the different
Yeah,
venue
the
and
support.
see
Yeah,
and the support system.
yeah,
So we thought that that discussion being approved and the way going forward, we'll definitely will not be able to run our competition. So all of our competition. Some of the benefits is that we have seen GFA running under 15 tournament with Sanders on a Saturday in Montrouge. You just choose two for me. And when you go there on a Saturday, you see the parents from all over the island. You see
yeah.
the sound system. You see the setup. You see the kids come out and play. So some of the programs we have to start looking at. One, maybe the associations come on board and say we're gonna run it, so we don't have some of the problem, or we're gonna support it running. But it's difficult to do it within the school period. So it's the sports we say sports in a high, and we conclude this year good with 2 Olympics medals. So you definitely look at character support, we look at all the mini meets, we look at all the competition, and you see growth all the cross country. So definitely we must have to look at on weekends to see how our best we can we can get the support of some of the schools, so that we can cut down on the time of the competition, and then we definitely, because the school come short, and we remember in the school, everybody calling it, everybody want this competition in school. Every association want a secondary school competition. All association want primary school competition. But then we have to forget, not we have to move on to remember the purpose of school. We're happy to introduce it to the school. So this is where the sports council come in. We do the introduction to the school. We do that likeness and love for sports within the school. But we say on afternoons, let's see how we could 3-4 times how we could run the developmental program with kids after school and on weekends. That's how the growth could only happen here. And I'm very happy to say that we definitely making strive, getting positive feedback on the stakeholders meeting, and we're looking forward to make sure that we implement some of these sports. That's going before going. The next thing I'm seeing, a lot of requests from persons from all over the world asking how they could compete for Grenada, asking how they could bring the sport in Grenada. Sometimes some of the questions I don't know how to attend to it, in the sense that the publicity we get from sports and the publicity we get from Olympic team, we can pay for that on any budget. So we definitely have to look at sports tourism package and look at how we can take advantage of that growth we are seeing now, for more athletes. Even when like we have Anderson competing now, when they go out, maybe we give them some package to distribute in the crowd, emphasizing some of our sites, showing some of our location. But we must tie in that sports tourism package to promote our country and to see how we can benefit more from sports tourism.
Well, yeah, I want to side with you and agree with you in terms of the sustained growth of our sports. That to me is very critical. That is important. A lot of times we talk about well, just at the spur of the moment, as we say, and sometimes we have to look at the bigger picture in terms of how do we ensure that we continue with what we really have in terms of the sustained growth. And talking about the Sports Council, which you just mentioned a while ago, Kerlon, just to let folks know that the St. Andrews Sports Council, they have been their first, what I consider first official council meeting
Yeah.
today, I think 3 o'clock. I hope it hasn't been
Yeah.
pushed back or anything like that. But
It's
I
honest.
saw. Right, it is on. So I saw that notice there, and they calling on schools and teams and clubs and everyone involved in sports in the parish to the St. Andrews Methodist School this afternoon at 3 o'clock. To discuss the way forward for sports in the big parish. As you know,
Yeah,
St. Andrews have a
yeah,
big following of sports. So here's an opportunity for all those big talkers
yeah,
to come out and have your say in the
yeah.
first council meeting of the St. Andrews Sports Council this afternoon, 3 o'clock.
Yeah, and also they are prepared to present the budget, because we are preparing budget allocation for 2025. So we want to make sure that some of the programs, some of the grassroots program, some of the competition, some of the talent identification program, we could actually start getting them going, because I want to make sure that come December, we will advance in the sense that all the parish and councils up and running. We assign budget for competitions, and we get some of the competitions going. That only how we could see the talent and the athletes can benefit much better for the growth of the sport.
All right. Good morning. Good morning to you, Rudian.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Hopefully, you arrive safely. Right.
Yes, I did. The traffic was really bad, but certainly it's a pleasure to be on with you for a little bit, and your listeners. I'm Colin. I hope you are doing well. You look good.
Yeah, I woke up this morning at 8 o'clock. I was in the gym this morning. I feeling good, and I'm very excited and very, I get a new push. When I
No,
see your
definitely.
wall, when I see your
Yes.
wall and the athlete's face,
Oh
and
yeah.
I
Oh, yeah.
know it give us a, I, to work
Incentive to do the work.
to do work.
Surely,
Yeah,
and we've seen that there's possibility for growth. Certainly, I like it, the fact that the St. Andrews is the one that's breaking out with the meeting today. Surely it's something that I talk about a lot with a member of the St. Patrick's Council as well, and we speak quite a lot. And one of the things that they're really targeting is getting into the villages
yeah,
and then and work with the village leaders. I mentioned to him about in each village try to have a leader there. Because we cannot see everything. Some of them will be those who in charge don't see everything and could be in every village at every time. So just the idea of just having somebody overseeing in some of those villages and report back to them is certainly it's a good tool to have as well, so that they can reach the athletes. Because some, like I said, we don't know everybody, and some we
yeah.
see and some we don't see. So surely that is something good.
Yeah, what is important there too? I can remember before we used to target, and I think we got to do that in the community. We look at persons that organize competitions. I know from River Sally, they usually have. I know the guy that usually do the competition, maybe in basketball or in football. I think we have to go back to targeting the persons and giving them the resources, or the resource that is needed to get back some of the competitions, get back some of the basketball competition in Grenville. But Dwight Gibbs and them are doing a very good job at that. But some of the parish way that kind of fall apart. Even look at some of the sports. You look at the Eastern Games in Grenville, some of the games so that we need to put persons in charge and say you team get a committee and responsible for that. As I said, the go-to sports we have to try and see we could manage it in a structural way, and I'm 100% supportive of getting the parish and every council and everything going so that get happen.
And another question, Mr. Wilson asking, in terms of facility, is that falls under you guys to get some facility be fixed, like basketball courts that need patching up or even restructuring, and the netball courts and so forth. Does that fall under you guys as well, or
Yeah,
fall under the council?
well, it follow implementation, but it fall under us. But right now, there's a policy that and if you look at Minister Andy Williams going around with the team, and we look at it right now, it's so busy. It's been done. Maki basketball court has been done. The fencing is up. You look at so all the fields, all the basketball court in Grenada. We look at the one that you see in St. George, by Granada's Beach, and they have done many already. And so we are looking at doing most of the fields. We had 5 playing fields to upgrade, and we surfaced. I think four. I don't think I know four is up and work is been done at the fun playing field in St. Patrick. So there are other fields in the community that will be done. So we put in some emphasis on that and making sure some of the lighting, the Tantin light should be on by next week. There are other fields that we are looking to lead. As I say, and then once the sports policy, the council come in play, then there'll be a more structural arrangement to the lighting of the field and even the refurbishment of venues around the island.
Right.
So they will say what are the priorities in the community that needed that aspect of it. So we are looking at it. But the demand is great. People are calling. A guy meet me need high jump mattress in his community. A guy people interested in getting back into coaching. So we
Coaching.
have
Yeah.
to see how we could for what we could work together with the Athletics Association and the Olympic Committee, because they are the ones that basically could get the courses for. We do courses in our ministry with coaches because we are qualified persons, but we need them to be certified properly. So it definitely have some education, coaching education aspect, because I know as a old coach for myself, if you want to bring them up there, you must be educated and you must learn the latest methodology and getting that done.
Okay, so the whole idea of coaching education as well. Colin, I know, the ministry always gives support to, most of the sporting disciplines for participation, whether it's chess, whether, the Paralympics, Olympics, even the World Championship, the Under 20 World Championships. Just a brief on that, because, we having, for the first time, having a relay team, at the World Under 20 Athletics Championships in Lima, Peru.
In Lima, Peru, yeah.
What's the support from government for the ministry in particular to support our
I cannot say that the support for that particular team. I knew the support for the Olympics team because it came through.
Olympics,
I do not know what support the Athletics Association needed for that team in particular, because most you are funding for that. So maybe they need assistance with ticket or so they didn't come to the ministry. I must say some of the association they come when they need money, when they need that support or when they get in a jam.
And they get in a jam.
Yeah, when they get in a jam. But I know for the athletes, I know you asked a question because the call been coming in through where probably one of the athletes are unable to attend. And I know from experience, and I might say that and openly, the ministry gives support to all athletes to go up to scholarship. To go to assist with the going to Barbados, getting the ticket. So I know once we get that request, that's something we provide the ticket for to Barbados and back. And in some cases, we assist with the ticket to go to the States. We have been giving that support, have been more than ever. With teams traveling, I must say this is the first time I've seen the complete support of all national teams that preparing to travel. Once the requests have been made early, the government of Grenada support all the national teams in going to compete to the events. I know the netball team is preparing to go off now. There are other teams that are preparing to go off. The para team will leave Saturday with Mr. Kerlon. So I know we give that support and assistance to all the team more than ever. The requests have to be there. Some of them come in late, and it kind of put a little stress on the system. But the support have been there more than ever to make sure that the support is given to all our national teams in traveling and competing.
So, Colin, going back to the whole incentive scheme, and for your time involved in not just in the ministry but in sports in particular, personally, how you think such an incentive and such an initiative now, right? Because probably 10 years ago, when we had something for Kirani James, it was just for Kirani and I think Rondell and Janelle and things like that, but not at that scale as we saw it, this time around. How are you hoping that can really motivate our sportsmen and sportswomen, not just our athletes, because we have cricketers, we have footballers, we have volleyballers, just about, everyone participating. How are you hoping that can motivate them to attain higher standard and for some of them even being future Olympians themselves?
Yeah, well, I must say up to the Saturday in the welcome ceremony, I was speaking to one of the president of one of the association, and that time I had an idea of the amount of the artists will receive. So I was I couldn't this thing, but I was telling man they'll be happy, and he response was that every year, every time, Peter, as you guys say the same thing, I have to see the check. I have to see the check, and I couldn't tell him nothing about it because it's correct. For previously, I know Linda only me $50,000 for a while now, but I promise it. I'm happy to say the difference, that it's a cabinet conclusion. There are conclusions to show it, there are policies to show it. This is what we're doing. I think that it will help motivate all the athletes. It's not like I win an Olympic medal, I made the Olympic thing, I know I'll be receiving money. What I would like to see that spread out to, because there is some concern. I say people always call me when there's problem. I don't know why they call, maybe because I was a nose down the wrong, so maybe think. What I want to see is that some of the benefits, because some of the athletes that are supported to go to games, are some of the athletes that fall that Olympic committee are selected to train for a particular event. The coaches are complaining. Some of the coaches are complaining. If they have funding for the changes, the funding go to the athlete. The coaches have no idea of it. We have to get I'm a coach and I know the sacrifice it takes to coach and God. I think we have to have incentives for the coaches too, in a sense. If your athlete's been selected for, it's just basic protocol. You select my athletes to represent Grenada in Peru. You should call me. If you have
Oh yeah,
a training, if you have a training, you want to give me my $800 for the 3 months to train. I feel the coach should actually be beneficial of the stuff of that too, in that line too. So there would be some discussion. So we have to find a way of getting our coaches within the holistic discussion of support, because they make the sacrifice every day to go out and coach. And some of them feel that when the athletes reach a level, that is not the athlete again. When they reach a level to travel, they are not the athlete again. I think if we want to continue, and if we want to continue the good, then we have to put some more emphasis on the coaches. So we have to look at coaches' development. We have to look at coaches' reward. We have to look at a way of getting, because there in some areas there nobody through the ministry. We should look at funding in a way to assist the coaches in a different parish, or we could have a collaboration with the Olympic Committee or the Athletics Association. So when we select, you identify the talent, and you want to make sure that his coach, if you have to give a coach a special assistance or support, or it could be not only to finance, it could be to classes or something, a short-term course, or to someone to mentor him. Say, okay, I'll assign you to Mr. Wayne Maxwin because your athlete reached there. So Wayne will work with you as a mentor. You understand? But don't just take your athlete and send him by Wayne and say, okay, that's the end of it. You qualify and that is your coach.
I think it's
we have to be more human in that aspect of sport.
It's protocol 101 that if I am coaching an athlete and that athlete or whoever it is selected, that I should at least be informed that my charge has been selected for national duties, whatever it is like that. So, and whatever courtesies, etc., etc. I think that is just, I
think a mentor program with that could thing. You could have coaches. You could have Paul Philip. You could have Wayne Maxwin. You could have Albert Joseph. You could have other coaches around. The other artists come from maybe, let's say, from a coach that's not so recognized. You assign him to him. So the coach will learn to take him that level, to help him that level, and he will feel a little appreciative for what it is. Because some people can do the developmental program, Some coaches can do that aspect to take the athlete there. They just know to take them when they are already reached there too. And their coaches are different level to do that in the educational program and any coaching program. But we must find some way of bridging that and that will help the coach to continue. Because when they call, they say, Peter, I don't go back and coach again. They want to take him, let it go in him and done. But we have to find a way to help to keep him and make him feel appreciative. And give him the support that I need and the educational aspect to help grow. So we have to sit and work as a team if we want to be able to achieve and be able to sustain that growth that we are seeing.
Mm-hmm. About the national sports policy, Colin, and I mentioned St. Andrews, for example, Sports Council. They're having their first official meeting today. And as you indicated, a lot of things on the agenda, including budget, all these sort of things. So it's important for people to come out. But how close are we into the whole setup of the National Sports Council? Because it seems as if there's a lot of action on the ground in terms of the parish sports council. Okay. What's about the National Sports Council?
Okay, so we basically preparing a launch. The launch will be, I think, I can't recall the date, but the launch will be soon. Maybe I think in September, early September. When
they return from the Paralympics.
Yeah, so we'll definitely have the launch of that to get it going, because to me that's priority. And I know to the government and that's priority. So there must be the launch, we're preparing the launch, and there are basic amendments that still needed to be done. I think you go to the cabinet stage of approval and everything. So give us a month by October. So I believe that everything should be running. Mr. Alvin Clauden is the person in charge of that aspect of it. But we are basically in the same building, around the same office, and I know Mr. Simmons is continue to work hard to make sure that is up. I know there are members, their recommendation for the chairperson, because there must be a chairperson. All these have been made. So it's basically to get the board going, and after the launch, all that will announce who is the chair and the assistant chair of the board, and the and that will take up the other stakeholders, or the other directors are really established, because they are the parish presidents that are elected. So very soon that will be up and going. And to me, it'll be a historical moment, and we have to make sure that we do what it takes to make sure that it's a success. Because I said that without that, we'll be doing things in a manner that will not be sustainable, and will not even the distribution of funds will not be, will not be able to see the performance, and not be able to reach the persons that you want us to reach in the ministry.
Mm-hmm. Rudian, do you have, as we're getting close to our wrap up time there?
I have two questions. Wanted to ask. We talk about the incentive. Do the ministry have a person who is in charge of identifying athletes, talent identifying?
Not really. The ministry, no. Let me just give you this. I think I should really say the structure of the ministry. We have well, only look at coaching. We have a coordinator, sports, we have assistant coordinator. We have senior coaches for most of the major sport. There are vacancy in volleyball, basketball. There are vacancy in cricket. So in some sport, football, we have about 3 other persons within the ministry. You look at Anthony Modest and them in football, that's still assigned, so we haven't sent them to the school. So our ministry is very limited in staff. When it comes to talent identification, I think that should be done by the associations, the cricket, the football associations. So we run competitions, and our senior coaches will select the athlete, the talent there, but basically for Windward Islands games, for that aspect. But to say that we look at the recommendation, and we form the associations of the persons, and to make recommendation for support and assistance. So that basically will fall under the Sports Council when it's established, with somebody responsible from each parish for the talent identification at our level. Yeah.
Well, certainly, because I want to say that because we have most team sports, and we come to track and field, we talk about it's individual sport, and then you do have coaches that is individually coaching the athletes. They don't need to be a part of the national coaching staff because they're just individually. You look at Jamaica, yes, it's bigger, but most of the greatest coaches is coming from the high schools. We see what they are doing with the athletes, and then the athletes decide to move on to some of the other, international coaches, right? So that is something that that's why I asked that question. Another question is going back many years ago, many years ago, and I mean I'm not that old, but I'm not that young either. That a lot of Grenadians have a lot of coaching qualifications. I So where are those? Where are we at with those coaches who went to Cuba and other places to attain some sort of qualification in coaching in different sporting body, and where are we with that level of coaches now?
Okay, so that's a good question. I must say, when you compare us to Jamaica, sometimes I told persons that we can't compare to Jamaica at the high school level. One, all our school are academic based. We don't have dorms. We don't have specifically coaching any program. As I mentioned to one of the coaches, I say why our athletes from Carriacou who go in Jamaica and show 18 meters in a shot put is because he train 3 times a day. He train in the morning, he go to class, then the evening they have training program, then in night he still do some technical aspect before he go to school, because they have a dorm system, they have a living system. And to the contact time, if you look at Albert in Tantine or Paul in St. David, they have the athletes for 45 minutes to an hour in the afternoon. And that depends on if the athlete does not have classes, extension class in the afternoon. So the contact time is what will help the athlete to achieve the goal. Josh and them could achieve something because we work twice a day, we go for 5 o'clock in the morning, and they miss class. What we have to try to do, if you look at the Jamaica now, with the document that came out, the Jamaica is saying that when any athlete come to the country now, they have to sit back a year before they could compete. Mm-hmm. So Jamaica is saying right now we want to stop develop your athlete, find a way of developing it. So in Grenada, what we have to try to do, and this may be for a long term, we have to be radical sometimes in our thinking. We have to assign, either we look at a school as SAS and we look at one at GBSS and say we're building 10 rooms in the school, and we look at some talent identification and we say, okay, you 10 guys, you're staying in, we provide breakfast, lunch and dinner, and Saturday you go home and we work with you twice a day. Or we assign, we must do something like that if you want to achieve that kind of greatness within school. And maybe get the parents, because that's the same thing happening when you send them to Jamaica.
Yeah.
They live in the school and they get to train twice a day. Yeah, we train 45 minutes a day, depending on that. So if you want to bridge that gap, we have to say, okay, like I call Will Maxine twice. I hope you don't think I'm picking on him. But like I Will Maxine, I retire. I assign a Will Maxine to a SAS. So I said, Nigerian school. I say your responsibility to help develop track and field within the school. You do the program, you work specifically at track and field. So once the students have a free time, you schedule training for them. You try to work out how you could get them and give the support. You look at a GBSS and you identify 2 persons that maybe retire, or somebody that within the system, or even maybe somebody working in a different ministry, working in a government, or the teaching. So you assign that if you want to do that. So if you want to bridge that gap, we have to think in a kind of radical way like that.
No, certainly, because one of the things, it's just funny, me and Michael was speaking, considering about like in Jamaica, you have the school system extended. Not all the schools. Some school system have extended for some of those athletes. You know what I mean? So, and I study that because I ask questions, because I want to try and see how can I get better as a coach. What can I do for for Grenada for sure? So they have a system where they go to sixth form, or 6A and 6B, something like that, right? Where those athletes don't take 10 subjects the first year. They might take 2 because they're coming back. They might take another 2, so they're not forced into taking so many subjects because they're done. We have we know this. Kids are finishing school at 17. And then you look at out there in Jamaica, they go up until 18. Out here in Canada, they go up to 18, 19 as well. So you kind of have that at the same time. By the time they leave school, then they move off an adult. They understand the sport a lot more. So something like that. Maybe not all schools, but some schools could have that program, because once they're done school, they're done. Yeah. You don't hear about them again unless they get into some program, which is, there is a move for change right now because of the councils and the sports councils we have in those parishes to develop sports, which is really good. However, in the school system is really, really get the competition. Because there's more competition in school than there is outside, unless we put a program in where we have more track meets. And that's what's lacking. More meets, it's certainly something that's really lacking for our athletes. So surely something like that in the future could be looked into in terms of expanding the school system so that some of these great athletes can stay longer and help themselves to get a scholarship to go to the US.
Yeah, well, let me answer the second question. Where are the persons that train in Cuba and all over the... as I said, some of the persons, they are here. Some of them are teaching in secondary schools, teaching in, some of them move on. So that program we could look now, because they have been here over the years, and the ideas I'm seeing are no new idea. Nothing in sports is basically new if you work at it. But it's to get somebody that could listen to you and to say, okay, let's take it to that. I think now is the time that we, and I see the opportunity, and I believe that somewhere I'm getting a listening ear. Let's make maybe myself call and do the proposal, and let's try to see if we could, get some persons within that. It costs money, in a sense, but it's convincing persons or convincing policymakers that we have tried many things already. I have tried elite program, all kind of outreach program thing. Right now we're in a level where we need to put, where we see the benefit of in a sense, and we need to say, okay, this is not just a talk. Let me try and implement some of this stuff, and let me see how we could find resources to employ some persons that maybe do the physical education in terms of CC and unemployed. Let's get them into the schools. Let's see how we could give the schools the support to look not only for track and field, but maybe for basketball or all-around person. Because if someone come back with a qualification in physical education and sport, some of them get it from UE now and everything. They have that broad setting. so they could bring in specialists on a different area.
Yeah.
So let's see like how we could get GBS, so we could get McDonald College, schools, that individual persons, and your responsibility is to help for the development of sports and coordinate that aspect. Sometimes you may not be the one coaching, but you may be the one that directing and bringing in the persons to make sure you and collaborate with the athletes and the parent so that you could have a holistic approach. Because I think that's the way we really need to go.
All right then. Thank you very much, Colin. Thank you very much, Rudy. And folks, next week we have Mr. Keith Joseph will be on our program. He'll be speaking about the Naka Kana participation in the Olympic Games and the possibility of regional sports administrators seeking, executive positions at PASO. Pan American Sports Organization. We know Vida Bruno Victor is an executive member of PASO. Well, she's one who's also been nominated. And then we'll hear about the others. PASO executive general meeting coming up in October. It'll be very crucial. But we'll be speaking with Mr. Keith Joseph on our program next week. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you very much for being part of the program. Always a pleasure, Colin. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, always welcome. Thank you, Rudy. All
right.
Folks, that's all for our program for this weekend. It's always a pleasure. Do join us next week, same time, for another program. Until then, do have yourself a pleasant weekend.